It's the whole journey of making something which I find the most rewarding. Often when I get to the final piece, that's not the most important thing, it's how I got there. That's what I find exciting. I never really know what's going to happen 2 or 3 paintings ahead. Everything seems to evolve from the previous piece of work. I'm fascinated by objects and things. I collect things. Something will trigger an idea, and I'll work on that and explore that. I like to make things, models or small sculptures or small 3D things, and then I can use those to stimulate drawing, and often paintings come from that. Once I've finished a piece of work, there are certain marks and shapes and patterns or colours on the piece that I like, so I will take that small section of the painting and then use that to start a new piece. I can't just come into the studio and get straight onto a piece of work. I have to do lots of other small things, and there's a lot of work for that, so sometimes there's 2 or 3 days spent just preparing surfaces or setting up the printing press or whatever. When I do get into a piece of work, then I just get on and work through. Lately I've been drawn much more to focusing on where I've come from. So, growing up in Oxford, so I'm being much more drawn towards the landscapes of Oxford recently, or in the last couple of years. Particularly the trees at Whitnam Clumps. And of course, when I started looking at the Whitnam Clumps and as a research and the more, I realised I seem to have this feeling that I have ownership of these places, so I was quite disappointed to hear that Paul Nash has already been there and painted them. But I think the way I see the landscape is to do with me growing up as a child, this sensitive, maybe over-anxious child, at times a very unhappy one. But when I was out in the woodland and the forest, I loved being there. It was peace of mind. I loved flying when I was a child. I'm fascinated with the idea of these big aircraft getting up into the sky and being able to fly around. And so I like this idea of a kind of a bird's eye view to how birds have this ability to zoom in from a great height and look at things in detail, and that's what I'm trying to do with my paintings. I have favourite spots in Oxfordshire where I grew up, and I like to zoom in and zoom out and fly around, and also this idea of developing an imaginary flying machine is a great vehicle for allowing me to be able to fly over these landscapes in a physical structure which obviously I can't fly, and it wouldn't ever fly, but in a way it's transporting me and my kind of dreams and visions of the landscape. It transports me to wherever I want to go, really.
Honig van Loge van Veen is ruggen van je van Loch, dimmigen van je hinnen was, kan er goed is kunnen.